Hello, my name is Harvey and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the progress that we got done here since the last video, and we'll be going over kind of some of the layout and what I intend to do about this controller here, how I'm going to address it, the wiring. I'm going to need to move a electrical outlet and to two different locations. So that's what we're doing in today's video.
As these videos take and progress, I'm starting to add different things into it. And one of the things that I wanted to put into each one of my videos, I haven't in the first ones, but from this point forward, I will right after an introduction, I'm going to do a quick little scripture from the Bible, and then we'll start the rest of the video. So today I am reading out the book of Amos, chapter 9, verses 13 through 15. That's the last three verses in Amos. And it goes like this: Behold, the days are coming, says the Lord, when the plowman shall overtake the reaper and the treader of grapes, him who sows seed. The mountains shall drip with the sweet vine, and all the hills shall flow with it. I will bring back the captives of my people Israel. They shall build the waste cities and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and drink wine from them. They shall also make gardens and eat fruit from them. I will plant them in their land, and no longer shall they be pulled up from the land I have given them, says the Lord your God.
Secured in the vise, so it'll hold it up. Now, I don't necessarily need a dead man all the time, so I'm building this so I can remove it and use it when I need to and remove it when I don't. So this piece here is the base bottom that I've talked about for the toe kick. And underneath the front right side of the cabinet, I'm going to be cutting a groove in this with my router. I've already got my straight edge placed and screwed down with two screws to hold it in place. And I'll be using this hand router to route the edge where this T-track is going to go. And basically what I'm going to have when I'm done is there's going to be a T-track on the bottom, and it's going to lay in here about like this, 6 foot of it total. And the front of the cabinet is going to be here, and the face frame is basically going to cover the front edge of this up, so you won't be able to see it from when you look straight on at it. The only thing, if you're on the right side of the cabinet, you'll be able to see this sticking out, because there'll be a notch there for this to stick out, so that you can slide your little T-track screw into. Now there's going to be a T-track up underneath the countertop as well, but I'm going to go ahead and start cutting this one. Now the way I'm going to get my depth is I'm going to use these T-track to establish the depth of the cutter as well. Now this, it's got a lock on it, and it's got a button that kind of holds it in place. So you just let it down so it bottoms out, and then basically just lock it back up. And that right there will give me my depth that I need.
A few moments later.
Woo! Dusty. that right there gets us down to where we're supposed to be. And if my measurements are right, that's right on the money. Well, welcome back. As you can see here, I've got the toe kick base in place. As you can see, this little metal strip where my toe is pointing right there. But I've also taken the time to lay out the bottoms to the cabinets that are going to sit on top of this toe kick base, and also put in the pieces of plywood, which are actually stretchers, but I'm kind of laying them in there to make sure that once everything is put together, that it's going to fit. As you can see, there's a 2 foot wide, and a 2 foot wide cabinet, which these three here will represent my drawer cabinets. And then that one on the end is slightly smaller, and that's where all my jigs and sleds are going to be. But I like to do this just so that I know for sure everything fits, because even though you do all the math and you do it on paper, and on paper it works, but you never know until the last minute. And the last thing I wanted to do was get these cabinets all built up. Now the first three I wouldn't worry about, because those drawer cabinets are going to be the same. The only variable would be the end cabinet. And basically I wanted to make sure that when everything was put together, that it would fit the way that I intended to. And I can tell you for a fact it does fit on this side, and it does fit on that side as well. So everything will work out. I've done some of the pocket holes in, all the bases have the pocket holes in them. Right now they're flipped upside down, though. When I put them together, those pocket holes will be on the bottom of the cabinet. But I've got some of the stretchers done, and I'll continue to do those today. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of that. I will, however, show you my what I set up for a jig and how that kind of looks. But for the time being, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about this this controller and this outlet here. When I came out this morning, I discovered that I had ants crawling around. And basically what happened, in this being the winter time, is the ants, they build their ant hills. I got a flower bed outside this window here where I wasn't paying attention, and the ants built up an ant hill. And basically, when they do that, they build them up where they'll cover the little weep holes on the brick and everything, and they'll come in the brick and then in the weep holes, and then they'll work their way through the walls. So since that discovery, I've been outside, I've stirred up the ant hill, and I basically put some poison on, and that should take care of them. There's still a few of them crawling around here. It'll take a little time. Probably tomorrow they'll all be good, and we won't have to deal with them. Now, there's another reason why I want to deal with these ants, is other than a few of them, because one, we're going to be taking the controller down, and as I said, we're going to be relocating a outlet. Now, part of that, this controller is going to come off, and I'm basically going to put a wireless controller over here on the wall here that will sit here, which on the outside of this cabinet there will be an end panel that comes, and that will be the end of it, about where this mark is here. So my controller is going to sit here. I'm also going to relocate an outlet to go here. I'm going to pigtail into that one and bring an outlet over here. and that way I'm not having to run an extension cord or whatever. It has an outlet. Now, it will still be a GFI, which is important. Now, I'm going to say this right now. Don't take what I say as the way things are supposed to be. If you know how to do electricity, that's fine, that's for you to do. But as I would always professionally say, if you need electrical work done, get a licensed electrician to do it. Now, with that being said, on the other side of the shop is my GFI, and everything in this side of the shop, including this outlet, is on that GFI outlet, along with an outlet on the outside in that corner of the building. This is the end of the line. So usually a GFI is put in the first outlet in the circuit, and if anything happens down from that point on, it's GFI protected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking that outlet out, pigtailing 2 wires into it, one for this outlet, and then I'm going to have to relocate that outlet to the other side, about where that sign, I get a little crazy sign, which I'm going to have to relocate to some other area. Take the outlet out, put the wires in there, pigtail it together, and then I'm going to put a flat cover on it. And the reason for that is simply this. We're building the cabinets right now. The next part of the project will be the actual tool till that goes on top. And this tool till is not going to hang on the wall. It's actually going to sit down on top of this cabinet. And the reason for that, again, I'm reiterating this again, is because the sheer amount of tools that are going to be in there, it's going to be too heavy to hang on the wall. So it's going to be attached to the wall, but I want it to be set resting on this cabinet. And that was a second part of the reason building these cabinets as strong as they are. There's a couple different reasons, but that's one of them. And this tool till is basically going to go from this point here, which is the edge of the cabinet, and it's going to extend down 6 feet, which should be right here. Will be the end of the tool till. Well, as you can see, if this tool till, the cabinet's coming up 6 feet, or come up 3 feet on the wall, and then the tool till is 6 feet wide and 3 foot tall, it's basically going to cover this outlet. Now, I don't like having outlets buried in walls, and especially like, plug receptacles, buried behind stuff, because you never know what can happen. It could be something crawls in there or whatever, where if you have a box and you take and put a pigtail on, stuff it in there, and then put a plate on it, then you have a junction box, and then me knowing it's there, if anything, if I have problems, I know that I have to take my tool till off the wall, and it's back here, but it will be covered up with a solid plate. That way nothing can crawl in there. And basically I'm going to pigtail off that, send one wire that way and one wire that way, and relocate the outlets so that it sits over there, because above this counter here is going to serve several purposes. One of them is probably be where I do my sharpening and all that, but above it I'm going to be making a separate rack that houses all my chargers and my drills and whatnot. That's a separate project, but we'll get to that. You may be asking, well, how are you going to get the wires through there? Well, what I'm going to do is my wires come in from the outside right here. My outlet's right there. The wire for that runs about right here, or it should. It won't run here, but it'll run that way. It may actually just go straight up and over. More than likely, because there's 2 windows here, that's what they did. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down in the wall here, and because I need to run wires both ways, and I really want to put them within the wall cavity, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in probably about 2 to 3 inches from the edge of the cabinet here, and I'm going to mark probably a foot wide high strip here, and I'm going to go all the way across there to where I need to, and I'm going to take my little saw, and I'm going to cut the sheetrock out, and I'm going to take that sheetrock out. Now, I shouldn't have to deal with anything other than the ants, because I don't think this wall is insulated. I'm almost positive it's not, because this is a garage wall, and where we're at, they don't insulate the garage walls. So once I pull that off, that'll allow me the ability to drill through all my studs, and it includes drilling through here out to here where I can run a wire, and then I'll put a work box in here for my electrical where it basically clamps on the back of the sheetrock, and I can put my electrical outlet in, and then I can also run my wires, which if you look inside the controller, I have some red and white wires, which is the old way of doing controllers. And then I do have one strand of multi-strand in there, which I can run all the wires through here and do the same thing. It's not a problem. But I'll run those through and come in behind the controller. It'll be a nice clean look, and we won't have this because these wires will be tucked back in the wall and run behind. So I'll show you that a little bit later when I get to it. But for the time being, I'm going to stop the camera, and then I'm going to show you, kind of give you a brief look at how I set up my drill jig. I won't go into too much detail about it, but I'll just show you what it looks like. And then the next scene that you'll see, we'll come back to some of this other work. As you can see here, I've basically attached my pocket hole jig to a long board. And one of the problems that I faced here was the fact that there's a little bit, if you see right here, I'll put my finger up, you see there's a little bit of a gap here. So what I had to do is I had to cut a piece of plywood, and I took a piece of this type of plywood here, and I ran through my table saw to the right width. There was a piece that was the same that came with it, so like a little on rods and stuff. This is pretty, but it was the exact same depth. So what I did was I used it as a guide. I cut these pieces out and I glued and stapled these things down so that basically my longer boards I can sit them down on here and they won't tilt like this. So everything's accurate. And it worked out pretty good because as you can see over there, all those bottoms, I did those already and they've got the pocket hole. I'll go over here to it so you can see. But as I said, they're turned upside down, but you can see all the pocket holes that I got in those. So works out pretty good. And I'm pretty pleased with it for the time being. This may or may not, I may just leave this like this and just put it in my shop someplace so when I need to pocket holes, I don't have to worry about it. I can probably keep it over there in that corner. It's a good corner for that. But all right, stay tuned and I'll be back with some more work in a little bit. All right, this is all the wiring for both the controller and the electrical outlets. Took me a lot longer today than I anticipated. Had some stops that I had to do and things I had to go take care of. But as you can see right here, I'm gonna get in a little closer. Those wires on the right there, those will come in right behind the controller. And I will put the Ratio controller in at some point down the road. Right now, the wires are there, they're all hooked up. I'm really in no hurry for this because I haven't run my sprinkler in a year and a half. Not because it doesn't work, just because I don't feel like paying for the water bill. Right next to it is the outlet I need for the controller to plug into. And as you can see, you can see the wires, both the control wires and the electrical wire going down for that. If we pan over here, you can see this one going up to the new outlet over here. Okay, and we go back toward the center, and you see I have put the plate on there. Now, there was a surprise in there. I expected it to be the end of a run, but actually, they run the wire in from the GFI over to this wall, and then they run a wire up the wall out to the outside outlet. So I basically had 4 wires, white wires and 4 power wires. I had wired nut together as well as the grounds as well. Now you're going to notice here, you see these marks coming all the way up. I figured, I'm going to have to attach the cabinets at some point, but you see that X right there. That X is where the wires are going up there. I don't want to take any chances of putting a screw through a wire or whatever. But every other stud, as you can see, I've got a mark going all the way up the center of that stud. And that lets me know where I can drill. And I'm just, let me run over here real quick. I'm gonna run over and grab my tester. If you don't know, this item right here, this is a voltage tester. And basically once I click it on, it's green, it tells me it's on. But it'll let me know if an outlet's hot. So I stick it on that side, there's nothing. That's because that's the common side. But if I stick it in there, it's telling me I've got plenty of power there. And that's where the hot wires come in. And same thing down here. I've got hot on both, and those are good. So that'll be it for today.